Good evening. My name is Aldine Gibson, and my research paper for this U.S. history class was done on or entitled Contributions Black African Americans Made in the American Civil War. The American Civil War began in 1861 and ended in 1865, and several reasons for the Civil War brought this war to a head, or this conflict to a head, actually started decades before 1861, primarily around in the 1830s. Uh, the, the, the tensions started with the abolishment of slavery. And well, the North wanted to abolish slavery. The South needed slavery and wanted slavery because of their agricultural, economical state. The South was more of a agricultural society, large plantations of cotton, large plantations of tobacco, and they needed laborers to be able to harvest the crops and maintain their way of life. They didn't want the North telling them what to do, and how they should live their lives or how they should be governed. The North became more experienced and grew more industrial with manufacturing plants and more of an industrial type of a society up north. And they saw that slavery, in their mind, slavery was wrong, and they wanted to abolish slavery. And so this led to the confrontation of the Civil War, which I said earlier was one of the bloodiest, deadliest wars that was ever fought on American soil. The the initial battle started in Fort Sumter in South Carolina, the first shot of the Civil War. And at one time, blacks uh, were not allowed to enlist um, into the into the army. But the Emancipation Proclamation that came allowed blacks to actually have an opportunity to fight in the war in 1863. They began to, the northern um, states began to enlist black soldiers. And during the time of the war, during the Civil War, the Union Army was made up of 186,000 black soldiers, the Army itself, and there was 29,000 enlisted in the Navy. So it made up of about 10% of the Union forces at that particular time. And during the battles of the Civil War, there were many accommodations given to blacks. The Congressional Medal of Honor was given to 24 African Americans for the act of extraordinary bravery, and there were also hardships uh, and discriminatory things that happened to blacks as well in the while they served in the army. They would basically wanted they wasn't didn't have equal rights. Many didn't want the soldiers to participate in the war itself. The black soldiers were paid underpaid. They didn't receive the best medical treatment. They didn't receive the best equipment. They were paid $10 a month versus the $13 a month that their white counterparts were paid, and their white counterparts also had a allotment of $3 a month for their clothing allowances, and the black soldiers were deducted $3, which in essence made them their pay was actually $7 a month. But in 1964, after a battle of equal pay, they were paid equally to their counterparts. And some of the other points about the Civil War and the things that happened, and some of the treatments that they received from the Confederate Army, that when some of these slaves were captured, they were sold back into slavery. They may have been free men up in the north, but if they were captured, they were either executed or they were even sold into slavery. And President Lincoln said that he would retaliate against the Confederate prisoners as well if they continued this method of treatment of the black soldiers. Now, here's is a something that was written by an unknown white soldier. He actually was a captain in the Union soldier. And here is his statement, or here is his comment that he wrote. A great many white, or a great many white people, he wrote, have the idea that the entire Negro race are vastly their inferiors. A few weeks of calm, unprejudiced life here would abase, here would disabuse them. I think I have a more elevated opinion of their abilities than I ever had before. I know that many of them are vastly superior of those who would condemn them to a life of brutal degradation. And also, one of the defending factors of blacks being able to fight in and participate in the Civil War was Frederick Douglass petitioned President Lincoln to enlist black soldiers to help fight the war. And in doing this, he also said that by enlisting the black soldiers into the army, that it would give the North opportunity or more of a chance to win the war. But not only that, he had a more idealistic point of view that maybe this would also be a huge step for equal rights. And here is a statement that was written by Frederick Douglass, who is one abolitionist, one of the well-known black abolitionists of the Civil War. And Frederick Douglass wrote this: once let the black man get upon his person in brass letters U.S. Let him get an eagle on his button and a musket on his shoulder and bullets in his pocket, and there is no power on earth which can deny that he earned the right to citizenship. So this is giving an opportunity for the blacks to participate in their emancipation and their freedom, and not only, but they will also too will help to be able to win the war and to help emancipate themselves and be participant in this American war to make this country the great country that it is by their participation in the Civil War. Thank you.